Today we're going to make this. Ciao dear hearts, it's Filming Friday and today we're going to be making a mini chunky burlap book and I can't wait to get started with you on that. But first, if you're brand new to our channel, my name is Caterina. All my friends call me Cat, and the person behind the camera is Digison, my husband. We've been filming this channel for 5 years now. We have about almost 100 videos for you to watch. And so in advance, we want to thank you so much for your subscriptions, for your shares, for your wonderful comments. I love chatting you up on this format. And we also appreciate all of your kind donations and your purchases. So if you are interested in supporting our channel, you can go to my website. Don will put that on the screen, and you can click 142 Bis Gallerie and purchase a piece of my work. We have free shipping in the United States. The other ways are to just down in the description, there is a PayPal tip jar. Thank you so much for all your wonderful tips. We really appreciate that too. And if you regularly buy products on Amazon or you want to purchase one of our recommended products, you can click on the Amazon link. So thank you so much. Let's make a burlap book. So I had a lot of fun making this little book, and to add to our mini book collection, sometime I'm going to have to show all of the little mini books that we've made together in my collection. But anyway, so we used burlap and this heavy duty kind of ribbon as a tie, a hidden tie. And I love the way this turned out. This is an old postcard, and then this is a piece from a button, and it actually came apart, this button, which is really cool. So I just took another one apart so we can use this one to make a new book today. We're going to make another book. And this is from a stamp, so I just cut this out. Pretty cool. And it is a gardener, a picture of a gardener, and I used Omni-Gel to put this down on here. So, but we're going to make another book today, but it's not going to be identical because you know that would be so boring. And so I used just scraps for this whole book, which is just wonderful. The burlap actually came from I guess we got some kind of Christmas gift in this burlap bag, and I just cut it up to use for this project. I thought, okay, I'm going to save that, recycle it. You know, I recycle, reuse, and upcycle everything in the studio. So all of this came from some kind of purchase. I think these came on old sheets, and I just love the rough texture of it. Little tiny scraps. So this one is going to be on with a floral theme, which, you know, I absolutely love floral themes. And the pages are fabric. They're just cotton fabric, muslin. You could use anything you want. And then we stiffened them up doing a decollage process, and I'm going to share that with you today. But just, it's a sweet little book, and it's not finished yet. I only had a week to work on this to get it ready for you, so I've got lots more things to do, but I absolutely adore the texture. I just think it's really yummy, and I'm going to have a lot of fun playing in it. So let's make a new one. Burlap comes in different weights. Now you might have a craft burlap that has a tighter weave than this. So it comes in like 5 to 11 ounce weights, and the higher the weight, the tighter the weave. So this is just, you know, just burlap that I had laying around. I'm going to reuse it. So whatever you have, you don't have to go out and buy a tighter weave burlap. You don't have to do that. You can just use what you have. I'm just letting you know that would be, if you had it, that would work out, you know, really well, splendidly. Because when we're going to cover our cardboard pieces, it can be a little cantankerous. We'll put it that way. So it gets a little crabby. It doesn't really want to stay, and we're going to have to really wrestle with it. But that's okay, because look how yummy it is. It's just so beautiful, right? And it just turned out so lovely. I love the texture. So we're going to use cardboard like we always do for our little mini books, or what we have been doing anyway. And I have already gessoed it, and my sizes are roughly 2 3/4-ish by 3 1/4-ish, and then a 1-inch spine like always. And then we're going to just cut this burlap. Now I want to make sure I have corners and edges, so we're going to have to cut this piece so that it fits just like that. And then we're going to fold over, so we're going to have this little wonderful chunky, I do love chunky. Chunky is such a great word, right? So that this, I'll rip this back so you can see, so that they fit together nicely. We're going to push those together and glue it down because you want it to lay flat. And then if you don't know about burlap, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is just take a piece out. I know probably many of you already know this, especially if you're stitch and sew and that kind of thing. But all you do is pull one piece out, and then you have the perfect opportunity to cut that piece. So then just take my sewing scissors and then you can just cut it super easy, just like that. So we're going to cut this down to size and be right back. Okay, so I have the burlap all cut down. I've got my 3 pieces of cardboard already, and the burlap is about 1 inch all the way around. And so I'm just going to turn the cardboard over, and we're going to use gel matte medium. If you need that, you know where to get it. We have it in our Amazon links. I love golden products. And I think I told you that I already have gesso on the cardboard because it's acidic. So I have clear gesso down. And that's going to help with getting this glued down too, because it's going to prime the cardboard and make it just that much easier. Okay, so now we've got it pretty close. Let me move it over just slightly. And if you feel like it's not in the right place, just pick it up and reposition it. Don't worry, don't freak out, you know. It's just a little mini book. Okay, now we're going to do corners first. Make our chubby little corners and lay them flat. Make a nice point. And I suggest you use gloves to do this. As you know, you don't want a whole lot of contact with matte medium. And you want to get a firm connection, so you have to really push it down and hold it to make it stay. Okay, so I have all my corners done, and now I'm just simply doing the edges. I'm going to turn this around and then do this edge. I'm doing the small sides first, and then we'll do the other one. And I went back and I covered the burlap with the gel matte medium. And you want to do that because, like I said, first of all, it's super thirsty. Burlap is really dry. And so it's going to suck up all that moisture, but you want it to glue, right? So you don't want it to suck it all up. You want it to stick to the cardboard. So okay, now here's where you have to push these together. And we're going to just move it so that it fits nicely together. Somebody told me that they had some, I can't remember if it was on here or if it was on Facebook, had some black burlap. And I said, oh, I was so jealous. Black burlap would be yummy to make a little mini book with. Now, let's see. Perfect. Okay. You don't want the spine to be too far away. You want it to be pretty close. If it's too far away, you're going to have a big gap, and you don't want to do that. It's going to move just fine because it's cut. Okay, so don't worry about that. Don't freak out about it. Okay, I'm going to finish this one off. And squish the corners together. And then I'm going to come back and put more gel matte medium down. Okay, and this book we did a hidden tie, and we're going to do that again with this book. But we're also going to do something different. And so instead of using the same chunky ribbon that I used, I thought we would use this instead, which I think is really yummy and really pretty. And then we're going to do something else too, because when I finished this, I thought, oh, I would have loved to have had a ribbon here to hold my place and where I was working or looking at. And so we're gonna hide that too. So we're gonna have this wonderful little ribbon that comes out of the end. So, you know, it'll be hidden in the back on your spine. So we're gonna get that glued down too. Okay, so I love this ribbon. We're gonna use this instead because I like the contrast. This has been run through the wars, as you can see. It had some kind of edging and I ripped that off. And I just want to make sure this is going to match up pretty well. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. So you have to think about, you know, putting the ties in and the ribbons in ahead of time. You know, I finished this book and I realized I missed this opportunity of putting this this ribbon in to hold the place, and that, you know, would just be kind of charming in the book. And so we're just going to glue this down. We're going to glue all the way down because, of course, we've got to glue our spine in too. So the spine is going to go in here, and all of our signatures are going to be stitched into the spine. And then we're going to cover this with our paper like we did with this. So that's how it's going to go. We've got to wait for this to dry though, and I'm going to add even more gel medium. Because my burlap is just sucking it up, and we want the ribbon tie to be glued down really well. Okay, so this is the fun part. Now we're going to make the signatures, and I used muslin. Now you can use any kind of cotton fabric you have. You have an old sheet or an old tablecloth or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just recycle, reuse, upcycle, right? So what did I do? To stiffen up the fabric, look how wonderful it is. It stands on its own. I just did collage and decollage. And so I just simply glued them down, ripped them off, and ripped it back. And I made a couple of extra little pieces so that in case I wanted to add a little signature piece into my book like I did with this one, which this was just an added little snippet, and I just stitched that on there, which is really kind of fun, don't you think? So I just made some extras too. Just had fun collaging and decollaging. And for those of you who haven't seen me do this before in my videos, I'm going to give you a little demonstration of it. So real easy. Here's some wrapping paper, and I saved this one little sheet. I did one side, and then I'm going to do this side too. And we're just going to put our gel matte medium down and poke this on here. And another piece of it here, and it can be anything you have. I literally went to my scrap box, got all my scraps out just like this, little piece shreds, and then just started gluing things down. And now I'm going to use my really old bone folder. And now I did it two different ways. I glued pieces down, and then I also lifted them up so that what I did was create a transfer, or I just left it on there. And I ripped back anything that wasn't sticking, so that we're creating texture basically. We just want really nice textured pieces. We don't really want to read it. We're going to cover it up with something else, and so it's going to be a completely you know, it's going to tell a different story than what's on here really, but it's just lending itself, it's lending layers to the page, to the signatures. So we're going to let this dry and we'll come back and we'll rip it off. Okay, so it's dry enough to pull back, and I'm just pulling off the top layer, just transferring that off, and just throw this stuff away and see what happens with it. And we'll just leave that on there. And now we're going to do this one too. And you can do as much as you want or as little as you want, whatever you want to do. But basically you are reinforcing the pages. And of course gel matte medium is a plastic because, you know, it's the stuff that they make. Here we go, it's transferring on there, yay. Okay, so it's just kind of like old wallpaper, you know, that's been peeled off. Just looks so yummy and so romantic. Now the next stage is going to be to gesso it. Now I have covered these with gesso and water, and so I'm just using a little bit of water with my gesso just to lighten it up so that it's not too heavy. You want to be able to see that there's something there, but you don't know what's there, right? So we're just going to gesso this off. We're still going to be able to see it, but it's also going to prime our pages and it's going to make them a bit stiffer. Okay, so we're going to let that dry and we'll come back and do the other side. Alrighty then. Signatures are all ready to get stitched into our mixed media spine. And this one is just slightly larger, and if yours are too big, if you don't like that look, just cut it off. You know, it's pretty simple. I want this to be really chunky. I want it to stick out and look like, you know, it's just kind of oozing out of the book. I love that. So we're going to get started with stitching these in. I'm going to use wax linen and a large needle, and we're going to figure out where we're going to put them on our spine. Okay, I'm going to set this aside, and I've got my signatures ready, and I have taken this little piece of, it's actually a scrap of mixed media paper. You can use any color you want. It doesn't have to be this color, it can be any color. I am simply going to just decide where I want my stitches to go. So I have drawn a line halfway, approximately halfway down the center of my mixed media paper, and then I'm just going to decide, I think I want a hole right about here, and then one there, one here, and one there. So we're gonna just 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now I'm gonna punch through there. With my awl. And then the other signatures will be on the other side of this. So easy peasy, you know. No big deal. Going to be super simple. Okay, so I have the little holes all punched, and I have my signatures pressed flat. So now I see where the center is for that. And then I'm just going to line this up with my fold. And you want a sharp pencil. So you want your pencil, can you see that? You want your pencil to be able to go through there so that you can line up. And I mean, you could just do a hit or miss process, but it's pretty, you know, this makes it a little bit easier to do that. So right here. If you have to lift it up to see exactly where it is, don't worry about it. You know, your mixed media paper is meant to really take a lot of abuse. Okay, now you're going to punch through this. Believe me, you have to punch through it because you've got plastic on it, you have papers on it, and you've got gesso, so it's a heavy-duty page, right? Okay, so now we're just going to stitch that in here. And I have about 1.5 times on this waxed linen. And I'm going to stitch through here first and make my little knot. I'm actually going to do double knots on this so that we keep it, you know, so that it stays. So it doesn't pull through, because these pages are pretty heavy duty. So we're going to do doubles and pull this down, pull the thread this way, take this guy like this. There we go. Nice double knot. All right. And then come through here. And we're just going to continue. Okay, if it gives you fits, just go back with your awl and just make the hole a little bit bigger. Okay, now we're just going to run this through, and we're going to make our double knot again. And we're going to stitch the other 2 signatures in to the other side. Okay, so I am just getting, we've got all the signatures stitched into the mixed media paper, and now I am going to glue it into the book. And it might take you a little while, and I had to actually use my awl and poke through the, you know, the paper, well, the fabric paper signatures, because it was so thick. In fact, I think I probably collaged it more than I did the first one, but I just got carried away and had a really good time playing with it. So we're going to do this, and now we've got to wait for this to dry. And what I suggest for you to do is to find the center, which should be right here, because that's where we did it, and to clamp it and let it dry. I have some scrap document paper, and so I'm going to use that. Now, let me tell you that you don't want anything too heavy. You want something that is going to mold to this. If it's heavy, it's just, it's not going to look good. You want something to just lay flat. Now, you could use a fabric, whatever you want, but you know, I'm just using just scrap pieces to make this little book. And so what I did was I just cut it down, and then I measured where I wanted it to go, and I just simply folded this edge back. And I just wanted it to be a little bit thicker on the end here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to give it a little cut on the edge here so you can see that little fold. The little chunky corner, just like that. And now I'm going to make sure that that goes down. And press it so that it molds too. Because your burlap is so heavy and so thick that you're just going to add extra thickness if you don't use something softer. And so you want, you know, a decent weight paper, but not something super heavy. Okay, time to decorate the front cover. We've got the ribbon in here. It's pretty fabulous. We have the papers, and we've got our little book, and I love how it sticks out. It's nice and chunky. And like I said, if you want to cut that off, fine. If you don't, that's fine too, whatever you want. I like pages sticking out, but if you want them perfect, just take your scissors and go back and cut them off. Okay, so now we're going to work on the front cover. And I love this, L-O-V-E, love this old postcard, this carte postale, but do you remember when we did all of the wonderful collage bits, and I still have them all bundled together because obviously we're not going anywhere, and this was supposed to be for our Caribbean journey, which was canceled. So I still have all these lovely bits, and I thought, wow, wouldn't they be perfect on the front with this piece? And so I think that's what we're going to do. If you're going to use a stamp, all I did was I took a stamp and I set it down onto the button cover. And you can use a button, you don't have to just use the cover. It's just, I thought they were really cool when it fell off of there. And so then I pried the other ones off. So, I mean, you know, we're talking about found objects, we're talking about recycling, upcycling, you know, reusing everything. So to do this, I simply used the stamp, put it here, and took my thumbnail and just impressed around where I wanted it to be, and then cut it out. Now, if you have one of those handy dandy little punch things, great. But I don't have one of those. You don't need it to make really beautiful art. So whatever you want to do. But I think what we're going to do is something different. I think we're going to use one of these pieces, which I think will work out splendidly. And my friend Eva actually inspired a little sea book. So she made this gorgeous coastal book. And so I thought I would use a shell that we found when we went to the beach last time, either the small one or a large one, to make it a little book about the ocean. And so I think I'm going to use the big one because I think it looks really beautiful. What do you think?
I love it.
Okay, good. So I think it really looks pretty. So we're going to glue that down right now. Okay, so my choice, I think, is between this one or this one. This one's really colorful, a little bit too much for me. Plus, you can't really tell what that is. So I think what I'm going to do is use this one because I think this looks really cool. She had a little shell in her hand too, so excuse me. So we're going to glue this all down, and I'm going to just use gel matte medium. If it was any thicker, I would probably use a heavier adhesive, but this is going to be fine. So we're going to do that right now. Well, we're almost at chow for now, and I enjoyed making this little chunky burlap book, mini. And I'm going to have a lot of fun decorating it. I've got a few tips for you. First of all, somebody asked me about glue brushes. I use chipboard brushes. They have really thick bristles, and after I finish gluing something, I just poke it in the water. Make sure that I clean it really well, but it's much better to use this than a real bristle brush or, even synthetic, whatever. And then I love the way my new little book turned out, and I love the little ribbon at the bottom. I'm going to have a lot of fun collaging all of the pages. Love this little ribbon. That's going to be great fun. I'm going to use just wax paper in between the pages as I'm doing that so that they don't stick together, and it's just easier in case you didn't know that. And then Don and I thought it would be fun if you wanted to ask questions, whatever questions you wanted to ask us, if you put them in the comments, and then we'll have a video sometime where we're just answering all of your questions. So next time we get together, we're going to be making a piece, a fabric piece, a textile to frame, and you asked for that, so we're going to be doing that. I can't wait to play with it in the next week or so until we see you again. And so take good care of yourselves. Stay healthy, be well. We send you our love.